For me today, it's a real pleasure to introduce Captain Keith Mulder. I have known Keith Mulder for many, many years. When I was a dean of students, he and I would talk frequently about some of my less behaved or less mature students. And so we'd often compare notes. And while everyone says, "Are you going to have a good weekend?" That's when my work really began. It's on the weekends as a dean. And so on Monday mornings, we come back to work. He said, "Oh, let's talk to the police and see what really happened." But Keith has been a good friend to Hope College and Holland, Michigan, for 32 years. So when you look back 32 years, I mean, he really understands this community and what it means and how it's grown. The other part for me that's invaluable is that Keith is a wealth of experience. He graduated from Calvin College, so we'll give him that, and that's okay. He went to the police academy at Grand Valley State University. He's been to Northwestern School of Leadership down in Evanston, and he's been the captain for a number of years. He's currently the captain of the patrol division. So he's the person that takes care of us night and day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The other part that I worked with Captain Mulder on is the SWAT team and the emergency response team. And, for us, those are those things when, at least for me, when I go to bed at night, I know that someone's got my back. And in most cases, it's like the fire department, the emergency responders, and the police department. And I can say without a doubt, well, my years here, this is my 34th year living in Holland. I've always been impressed and never been disappointed or let down by the Holland Department of Public Safety. So further commentary by me, Captain Mulder.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction and also the kind words about me being a Calvin College graduate and still call me a friend of Hope. I appreciate that. I just want to, what I want to do is I'm going to kind of give you a kind of a brief overview of what our department looks like, the different specialty units and divisions that we have and how they work together and how they work with the community, and then go into a little bit. I'm going to also throw some history in there because I figure some of you guys might like some history, but also then dive into kind of how the police department specifically works with the community, the type of programs that we have, and what the efforts are that we're trying to constantly work with the community and build trust and keep that trust. So to start out, just a quick understanding of what the Holland Department of Public Safety looks like. It is both the police and fire. However, you'll hear of some departments that they're fully integrated police and fire. So all their police officers are trained firefighters, all their firefighters are trained police officers. That's not what we are. Our command staff, which is the chief and captains, are public safety. And underneath our command staff, we have the police division and the fire division. So you'll see how we have on the police side, 59 sworn officers, 10 civilian support staff, and on the fire side, 24 firefighters, 1 civilian support staff. So those two divisions are separate underneath the public safety command structure. So here's the start of the history of the police department, 1907. So that's when the city was first chartered. And I think it's important to see the wages at the time and the department vehicles. That's quite interesting of a way to start the police department, but that's when it started. And then we moved to this, and this I find is interesting, job performance rules for the first officers. And if you read through those, I find it interesting, the things that they couldn't do. They discouraged talking to the public unless spoken to first. Couldn't talk with each other. Held accountable for all these crimes that might happen in their areas. And obviously the bottom there, extreme turnover. That was a huge concern back then, obviously. But I mean, if you look at the ones above it, that's just very interesting ways to start policing. But it's a very different time, right? So keep this in mind when we talk later about what our goals and emphasis are on now. Hopefully it's a little bit different and that comes through. So early significant historical events in the city. If you take a look at those, there's a couple things that, if you've been a Hollander a long time, you probably know about the fire devastating most of the city. But specifically towards the police department, 1929, the first tulip time, policed by 6 officers. It's a little bit different than it is today. And then the first time it moved to its own building in 1932. And there's the photos of our different buildings that we've had since 1932. The original one in 1932, same location, the next one in 1972, and then the current one that we're in. So I started in the police department right here, 1972 police department. I didn't start till 1993, but that was the department I started in. And then in 2004, we moved into our current building, which is kind of right next to where that police department was originally. So that police department now is where the court is. And we're next door to that. So this is our structure of the police department. Obviously, the fire department is also underneath our command staff. So you have the chief and the 3 captains here. Fire department has 2 additional captains, and then the firefighters that are underneath there. So this is just the police side of public safety. So you can see where I'm in the middle there, and the division that I oversee. It's obviously the most people. It's basically all the uniform people. And I have multiple different teams underneath my division. To the other side, Captain Hagland, the detective captain, we call it the Criminal Investigations Unit or the Detective Bureau, whichever one works for you. But he has the investigative side, the detectives, the undercover WEMET officers that work under him. And then the other side is the services side, and services kind of is everything else that isn't covered by patrol and investigations. So everything from media contact to office, basically the records management system, all of the reports go into, all the data, all the reporting to the FBI and to the state and stuff like that. But then we also have a jail in our facility, and we have an evidence room in our facility, which is quite extensive and takes a lot of work. And then he kind of manages also everything about the building and everything to do with that. So that's the services side of it. So underneath my area, we have the patrol, which is, if you look over here, it's kind of this side of it is specifically patrol. And then over here, you have some specialty units, community policing, training, and traffic. So they all work closely together. They're all under the patrol division in a way, but there's, people that are specifically assigned to patrol, and there's people that are assigned to special units within patrol, if that makes sense. And we'll get into that more in just a little bit, and that'll make a lot more sense. So this is what the city looks like and how we divide it up for our call response. So we have 3 areas in the city, 3 jurisdictions basically that we have our officers assigned to. So you got the Adam area, which is the central city. You have the Baker area, which is kind of the south and southwest. And you have the Charlie area, which is the entire east side all the way to the south. So we have officers that would be, every shift, you have an officer assigned to each of those areas. And then you have some city cars, such as the sergeant, evidence technician, and traffic cars. They cover the whole city, but there's officers specifically assigned to each one of these areas. So that means if a call comes in the Charlie area, most likely the Charlie car is going to get sent to that. And then you also might have one of the city cars that respond and assist in that way. So that's how it's basically set up for patrol. But then within those areas, you can see that there's this gray area here and the gray area there and a light blue and a purple. So those 4 are the community policing areas. So within a patrol district, you would have a community policing officer assigned to the light blue area, another community policing officer assigned to the purple area, and another community policing officer assigned to each one of those gray areas. The reason we have community policing assigned to those areas is because of call volume and density. Right? Does it make sense? Kind of in the downtown area, you have the most dense area, you have the higher call volume, you have more problem areas. And on the south side, the gray area is apartment complexes. And on the east side, the gray areas are apartment complexes. So it's higher density, higher call volume. So that's where we have an additional officer assigned specifically those areas to help deal with the problems on a longer term basis and do more follow-up and try to provide resources that might be needed, work with landlords, work with tenants, renters, stuff like that. So in the light blue areas were Hope Colleges. So we have an officer that is assigned to that area, and they work very closely with Hope College campus safety. So this is a list of our specialized teams. Now, some of these teams are in the patrol division, some of them are in the detective bureau division. But each one of these teams has a specific area of focus in addition to their, in a way, their real job. So you could have a patrol officer that might be part of the honor guard team. You have another patrol officer that might be an evidence technician. So they do patrol, but they're specifically higher trained in a specific area. So we would have under the Detective Bureau, that's a division. You have the Detective Bureau, but within the Detective Bureau, we have one polygraph examiner and we have one computer forensics examiner. And then we have undercover drug team, which is also a gang team. So that's within the Detective Bureau. And you can see you have the special enforcement team, the crisis negotiation team, and the special enforcement team is another word for the SWAT team, which was mentioned earlier. That's what we call our SWAT team, is special enforcement team. So many of these different specialized teams, we're going to kind of run through and talk about what they are, what they do, what their focus is, and how they work together. So patrol division. That encompasses quite a bit. That encompasses both traffic, evidence technicians, community policing, our area cars, and quite a few of our specialty teams, including the special enforcement team and crisis negotiations team. So what's the purpose of patrol? It's to respond to calls. Okay, so if say a domestic situation gets called in, our patrol officers would be the first one that would respond to that. So they focus very strongly on safety, providing a safe environment, keeping residents safe. They focus very strongly on enforcement. So they'd be making arrest of a drunk driver. They're making arrests for domestic assault that occurred. You know, we're doing a lot of that enforcement. We're also doing some, traffic enforcement, but that's not their primary job. The traffic unit primary job is traffic enforcement and taking accidents. But patrol is part of that. So then also we believe very strongly that our patrol division has to be part of the positive contacts with the community. So we have a community policing division that focuses more heavily on positive contacts and interaction with the public, but we also want our patrol division to be part of that because we believe very strongly that every patrol officer out there, this is part of a team. We all got to be professional. We all got to be showing respect, and we all got to be building trust within the community. And every interaction that we have, that's an opportunity for us. Make sure that you take note of that officer and how he looks. Doesn't he look nice and young? Believe it or not, he's a full-blown police officer. So our canine teams, that's part of the patrol division. What's the focus of our canine teams? Well, number one, positive contacts with the community. I'm telling you, people love dogs. People love to see the way these dogs are trained. They love to see the interaction with them. The handlers do a lot of community events where they do demonstrations with them. It's a very easy way to connect with people because people like dogs. That's very common. So there's positive concepts that come out of it. There's community events that we attend because of having the canine unit, but it's also for safety, for enforcement, and on patrol. So you can see that our dogs do a few different things. They're trained in tracking, so they can track not only a suspect that fled the scene of a crime, they can also track a missing child, an elderly person that has Alzheimer's that wandered off. They do those types of tracks also. Narcotics detections, we have 2 dogs that are trained in narcotics detection, and then we have 2 dogs that are trained in explosives and firearms detection. So that's a separate expertise for 2 of our dogs. And they're all trained in building searches and article searches and handler protection. And when I say article searches, if I were to drop my keys somewhere in a field and walk away, they could send the dog and the dog would find the keys. It doesn't matter how tall the grass is or anything. It's great. It's amazing. We find a lot of things with those dogs just from the article search abilities that they have. So those are our 4 current dogs, the ones with the names underneath that we currently have. One is assigned to each platoon, so you always have a dog working unless they're in training or off on vacation. Next is our traffic unit and motor unit. I kind of combine those because the same sergeant oversees both of them. You don't see our motorcycles out a lot, but they are out at times. Our traffic unit is, you'll see 2 of these vehicles that are a little bit more of the subdued look to them. That's our traffic cars. Their primary duty is enforcement of traffic laws and investigating accidents. So they are the most likely ones to be at an accident scene, and they're probably assisted by one of the white Tahoes that we also have. So you can see there's an accident scene being blocked by one of the white Tahoes, but this is quite often the gray one is what you'll see as a traffic unit being on an accident scene or traffic stops very regularly. Our motor unit is more for community events, for parades, for when we have runs and stuff like that. We'll use our motor unit for that. Whoever is certified and trained in the motorcycles, they also can take them out on patrol occasionally. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen occasionally. Our evidence technicians is part of our patrol division. Every shift has an evidence technician assigned to them, and they specialize in processing evidence and collecting evidence for major crimes. So if you have everything from a death investigation to a homicide to a breaking and entering, they're going to be at the scene processing evidence, collecting evidence. When I say processing, they're highly trained in photography. They're trained in collecting fingerprints. They're trained in collecting shoe impressions, in tool, pry marks, and stuff like that. So they have extensive training in that, and it's a valuable tool that we really enjoy having. So they're also part of patrol. So, does it help the teamwork with patrol and the detective bureau working closely together? Absolutely, because a lot of these major calls are starting at the patrol division and being turned over to the detective bureau to be investigated further. And our evidence technician work closely with both when they're processing and collecting that evidence for those major crimes. Helps a lot in court cases when we have people able to testify as an expert witness with the evidence processing and collection. We do send our evidence to the Michigan State Police Crime Lab to be processed sometimes further. That's kind of like a standard anywhere in the state when you have additional processing that has to happen or identification has to happen. The State Police Crime Lab is a great resource for us. Drone team, this is probably our newest team. We've gotten into the area of having drones. We have a large drone that has great capabilities as far as a very powerful camera. This right here, if you recognize it, is the windmill that's taken from right above our police department. So if you know the distance from our police department to Windmill Island, that's how closely you can zoom in on something with that large drone. That also has the capability of dropping a life preserver in the Lake Mac. It has the capability of infrared technology. It has the capability to drop a cell phone to somebody that's in a field or in a woods or something like that. So it has very good capabilities. So we have a smaller drone that we can actually fly into buildings and search a building with it, which helps keep our officers safer if they don't know. So say there's a break and entering in a building or some kind of a critical incident that happened, we can fly a drone into that building and through different rooms to search it prior to officers having to go in and put themselves in danger. Great tools, they're used in the right way, and we've had really good success with utilizing these tools. We use them on the special enforcement team. We use them for evidence. We use them for major traffic crashes that might be a fatal crash or something like that to be able to get video footage and photographic footage. And this is our honor guard. Our honor guard, they are assigned to other divisions, but this is something they do kind of on the side. They'll come in to work special details. They'll do parades. They'll do funerals for police officers. They'll do different events around the community. They get to, once in a while, they'll go to a Tigers game and do the flag presentation at a Tigers game, or do it at a city council meeting, or a swearing-in ceremony at the naturalization ceremony for new citizens. So it's a great thing to show professionalism, to show respect, to show honor. And we believe that's a great tool for showing respect to those who deserve it. And this is our investigations division or our detective bureau. So like I mentioned, within that, we have a computer forensics person, we have a polygraph operator, and we also have a undercover drug and gang team, which is called WeMet. And we have just regular detectives that do investigations. So this is major crimes that would get turned over to the detective bureau. Everything from breaking and entering. We have a lot of criminal sexual conduct cases, a robbery, a homicide, all those types of things that get turned over to the detective bureau for further investigation. This is something that people don't always think of it this way, but for our investigation division, a very high priority is to support victims. to support victims, because when you have major crimes, we have to remember that there's a victim to that major crime. And we want to do everything we can to help support victims and help them through that traumatic event and the after effects of that traumatic event. They have to be good at showing compassion. They have to be good at knowing the legal process and following through on the legal process throughout the court hearings. And it's a part of enforcement, right? It's a part of bringing people to justice. That investigations unit is extremely important to our department. And this is our special enforcement team. Some people will look at pictures like this and think, man, that looks aggressive and that looks like big weapons and the vehicle and things like that. And one thing that I want to point out is I was on this team for 20 years. I was the team leader for a portion of that. And now there's a different team leader that oversees it. And we've always had a very strong emphasis on bringing safe resolutions to critical incidents. So even despite the look of it, it's important that we have the right tools, the higher trained people, and the ability to bring safe resolution to critical incidents. Our regular patrol officers aren't trained to the same level as what our special enforcement team is. They train once a month. They go to outside trainings. They're highly trained to do what they do, which helps with better decision making. Rifles are more accurate than handguns. They can cover larger distances. We have tools such as entry tools. We have a robot. We have the drone. We have a lot of tools that are available to this team, and they train with them regularly. And the focus is to bring safe resolution to the critical incidents. So despite what it sometimes looks like and sometimes the impression that people get, that's the goal of it. And that's why we train regularly with this team. That's why we believe it's important to have a team like this within our jurisdiction. Do we get utilized a lot? No. Do we get utilized? Yes. And it's important that when we do need them, those are the critical incidents that we really want to have a quick response for, and good decision makers and well-trained people to respond to. Supporting our special enforcement team is our crisis negotiation team. So this is a team that when they get called out with our special enforcement team, they would make contact with a person and try to talk them into a safe resolution to it without having to use the special enforcement team to go into a house or something like that. So it's all about safe resolution again, and it's another tool, another way that we can try to bring that about without using force, without entering somebody's house. Try to get somebody to come out to us, which is a safer way to resolve an incident, especially when it's a critical situation. And then our training unit. Our training unit, once again, it's patrol officers, it's detectives, it's people that are assigned to different teams that are also instructors within our training unit. We have one training sergeant and one training officer that are full-time involved in training. And a lot of our other instructors are doing it as an additional duty to what their full-time position is. We believe very strongly that training is the key to good decision-making, to maintaining trust with our community, to good resolution to incidents. If we focus very hard on training, we have a much better chance of good resolutions and good decision-making. So that's a part of the puzzle that we believe is very, very important, and we've been focused on for many years. If you compare our department and the amount of training that we do to most police departments around Michigan, we are well above most departments because we believe very strongly that it's an important key to good decisions and safe resolutions for incidents. We're going to talk more about that in a minute, but this is a video about a training simulator that we purchased several years ago. We still use it right now, and it's a great tool to bring our training to another level. Do it now.
This is our new simulator room.
Show me your hand.
It's a 180-degree view. This is a lot better than a one-screen system because you get a lot more of that peripheral. People can come at you from the side.
Each officer is scheduled for at least 40 hours of internal training.
We want to allow officers to build up a skill set so that they can go out and they can do it correctly out in the real world. So if they have to work through a thought process or some kind of a tactical skill, we want them to work through it in here versus out there.
Let's see if I can turn up the volume here.
Thing about the video simulator is that we can do this on a daily basis. It's very inexpensive to run.
Doesn't use ammo. The magazines are filled with CO2, so you get recoil, you get sound. The pistols and the rifles and the tasers are the exact equipment that we use on the road. So officers can be familiar with what's on their belt, how it's used. The more realistic that we can make it in this situation, the more realistic and the more beneficial it's going to be for the officer who's going through the scenario.
Thank you.
The instructors that are running the simulator have the opportunity at any time to change what the scenario is, depending on the actions of the officers.
We're gonna get out here as soon as we can.
They're not all shooting scenarios. They're not all use of force scenarios. They may be scenarios where the officer just talks through, de-escalates the situation, could move to cover quicker. That's going to keep you safer. We have something called a threat fire system. It's a box that goes on the belt. If they're outside of cover and somebody has a knife or a gun and they're shooting at them or they're coming at them and stabbing them, they get a pain consequence for that via electricity on their belt. It's not the end of the world, but it is going to make them want to use cover. Ultimately, we want to build confidence in the officer. And a lot of that has, implications with if you're behind cover, you're going to make better decisions than if you're out in the open and just have a panic reaction.
If somebody needs a debrief on an incident that just occurred, we can come down here the same day. It's all set up for that. Another thing is if we have field training officers, new officers out of the academy, we can utilize this during their trainings, which we never had the opportunity before.
It allows us to run people through repeatedly until we get the desired response that we're looking for. You did a really good job of when the threat ended.
During all our debriefs of scenarios, we go through what we observed as an instructor and also what the officer observed, just to get an explanation from them on why they used the force they did and if they believed it was justified and necessary.
We take training very seriously. The city takes a police response to the community very seriously. And so they're willing to invest not only the initial outlay on the system, but also the training time. And it all translates into real world experience. This is going to be the best thing for the community because the officers are going to be able to be the most well-versed and the best trained, and it's just going to be good for everybody.
So it gives a little understanding of what our simulator looks like that we utilize for training. So that's just one of the things that we can utilize for training. So moving on to our community policing team. This is made up of 4 different CP community policing area officers, a crisis intervention team, and the crisis intervention team is 1 police officer and 1 community mental health social worker that are combined into a co-response unit. So when you see the crisis intervention team responding to something, that's in a cruiser with 1 clinician and 1 police officer. And it's been a very successful team that we started a few years ago. It's under the community policing division, but we'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute, but it's one of our newest additions to our community policing team. School resource officers, we have 2 school resource officers that are full-time assigned to the schools. So that's the team that we have. The goal of the community policing, positive context, building trust, doing presentations, partnering with organizations that have the same goals in mind that we do, attending community events, following up on calls that need additional follow-up. And that's where our crisis intervention team has been phenomenal in working very closely to help people in crisis to find the resources that they need, to help point them in directions, to help follow up and have those conversations with them. Time that is well spent. Our officers that are responding initially don't always have time to spend that much with them and try to follow up with them the next day, the next week, the next month, whereas our crisis intervention team has the ability to do that and has a trained clinician that's there to help them in ways that us police officers aren't as well versed in. So it's a great team to work closely with people in crisis, and whether that's a mental crisis, whether that's a suicidal attempts, or whether it's people in our homeless community that are struggling with addictions and drug and alcohol abuse and things from their past. It's a great team that we started out focusing on persons in crisis, and it evolved into working very closely with our homeless population to try to get them resources and try to get them out of their difficult situation into a better livelihood, and trying to get them work and trying to get them a place to stay and stuff like that. So our crisis intervention team works very closely with other organizations that are experts in those areas. And it's been very successful. I love reading their monthly reports and seeing some of the success stories, because a lot of times we see situations that aren't a success. So it's always good to see the success stories. So this team works very closely with the patrol division, but their specific tasks and their priorities are working with the community and working with organizations, and within their very defined areas where they're higher density and higher call volumes. So I got a few different videos that I want to show you. This is all involving our community policing team and some of the efforts that they've made over the last few years. And I want you to notice up on the top there, building community trust is very important to us. And part of building trust is maintaining the trust. We believe very strongly, and our chief has a meeting with every new officer when they start, and he talks regularly about every interaction counts. Every interaction counts. It's either a positive interaction or a negative interaction. Sometimes we can control that, sometimes we can't. Sometimes no matter what we do, it doesn't end positively. But our goal is every interaction counts, and we do everything we can to make it a positive interaction. So that positive contact theory involves how can we have positive contacts with the community. And one of those ways is to not just do it when we respond to calls. Because a lot of times when we're responding to calls, it's not anybody's favorite day. It's not their favorite time. Whether that means that we might be arresting somebody, whether that means it might be a fight that happened, whether it's a difficult day with their child, relationship, a crime that happened they're a victim of. It's not everybody's best day. So we know that if we can interact with the community just outside of calls, outside of those difficult situations, we have a better chance of building and maintaining trust. So here's some examples of efforts that we've made to do that on a regular basis.
Drumstick. Ice cream sandwich. You're welcome.
Well, we really wanted to get back to servicing the community.
His vision was to get to the kids and get to the kids' parents in a completely different way.
For them to be able to go out and be able to talk with the kids and just have a good time with them, to show them that officers are good people and they mean to protect them and to serve their communities. That's the main reason.
Hey, free ice cream. Don't walk away without getting it.
Everything on that truck has been completely funded by private organizations.
We saw the benefit for the city of Holland, for the police department. Crown Motors was excited to get behind it really right away.
Oh yeah, there's drumsticks in here. Yep.
I think the next thing now is to get behind it, to see it in the streets every day.
This comes down the road and we have supply, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get something out of it.
Right there. Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Have a good summer.
And it's just one of those warm feelings that blew all of our expectations away.
We're just so thankful for what these guys do every day, guys and gals.
This is amazing, you know, and this really sets Holland apart. You know, to be able to go out into the community and show the community that they do care about them, that's a big deal.
So I don't know if you've ever seen that thing running around, but it's pretty popular. It's been a great program. Our community policing sergeant at the time, Larry Matson, started that up. It was kind of his brainchild and ran with it. Fully supported by companies in this community. And for many years, Hudsonville Ice Cream has been donating all the ice cream. So it's been a phenomenal program. This is our Citizens Police Academy. So this gives you a little glimpse of what our Citizens Police Academy looks like. That's run by our community policing division.
The Citizens Police Academy, it's an 11-week program that allows the community to come in and more or less get an understanding of what we do as police officers, and more importantly, why we do certain things. During the course of the 11 weeks, they get to choose one night to ride along with an officer. So they get to ride along for that officer for a 6-hour period and, get to see and witness exactly what an officer does during that time frame. We've had people go on these ride-alongs and come back and tell us that it was the most exciting thing they've ever done in their life. It's a great way for people, again, to understand what we do and why and how many things are going on that we have to be aware of that people just don't understand what it takes sometimes. There are times where we get to actually go down and try to practice lifting fingerprints from the evidence technician. When they come in, they get to show us how they do their job and give them an opportunity to do it. We also have people from our firearms instructors come in and kind of go through firearm safety. And we actually go down in the range and they actually get to shoot a firearm as well.
Nice.
Officers who are either in the traffic unit coming in to speak about traffic and what their role is. We have someone from our community policing unit come in. We have guest speakers like judges come in, prosecutors come in. We will have people from probation, K-9 officers, victim services unit come in to kind of explain what they do and how they assist us during complaints or investigations. We have our evidence technician come in and show how we do and how we collect evidence. When people are here, they really get to have that appreciation of what we do and the understanding. I think that's probably the most important thing is they get to understand why we do what we do rather than hearing it secondhand, rather than reading about it or some misconception. This way, when they do attend here, they can ask those questions. They can come right here to the source and get that information that they have those questions to.
So if you find yourself wanting more after this presentation, you know what to sign up for. Citizens Police Academy. It's a great program. People love it. We hold it every fall. This is the Junior Police Academy, what we do with middle school students every summer.
Today we have our Junior Police Academy simulate an actual crash. We try to prepare in the classroom a lot for what they're going through. These students are divided into groups as far as being police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and role players. And it's really fun when they put on the uniforms and get ready to go out to do these real life scenarios. We have simulated victims, suspects, witnesses that the police officers try to get information from, patients that AMR is helping these students treat. And then in these cars, the firefighters are trying to do a simulated extrication of how they would work through that in the actual scene. We learn many different things about having respect for themselves, respect for others, listening, following instructions, paying attention to details, practicing integrity, doing the right thing is a huge part of this program. Over the years, we have had a handful of officers that have participated in JPA and then have carried on to be a police officer. If you have any interest in maybe police, fire, or paramedic, this is a great way to get a taste of it. And they love everything they've learned through the Junior Police Academy. I usually hear, oh my gosh, that's the most fun I've ever had. We are impacting these students and parents, families, and the community in a way that is great for everybody.
Next one is our cookouts, the police cookouts that we do in some of our neighborhoods and apartment complexes.
Last year, we kind of decided to try something different with the way that police community relations were. So we thought if we fed people lunch, we'd meet the people in the complexes and find out more about them, and they could meet us and see us in a non-complaint driven aspect.
Like, hot dogs? All right. It gives community opportunity to see officers, HPD in a different light, maybe change a little bit of the negative perception that we got going on nationally.
We want to humanize us and meet them on a personal level. A lot of times people see somebody with a uniform on and they don't want to come up and say anything to you. And that's not what it's about service.
Yeah. More leaders we have in our communities that stand up and are willing to do something to engage our kids and actually find out who their neighbors are. That creates community right there.
Seeing the people and meeting them is the biggest benefit that we can get from this.
Let's go. They take their uniform off, they eat, they hang out with family, they go to work just like us, you know, kind of see them in that way as opposed to the other.
Some of you might have seen this. There's been different social media posts about this over the years, but a gas giveaway that we partnered with Quality Gas Station to do gas giveaways over the holidays.
Thanks, sir. Pump 4.
I saw them kind of when I was pulling in, and then I saw all of them and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? So I found out that I got $20 of free gas and a free car wash. So it's really amazing and I'm very blessed and thankful for that.
We're here for you today. Absolutely. This is all about giving back to our local community. Pump 14! 14! This morning, we're teaming up with Quality Car Wash and we're giving people $20 in free gas. It's a really wonderful opportunity. And along with that free gas, we have a game wheel for them to spin to win a free car wash or an air freshener.
Super wow.
Oh, good. We really enjoy partnering with the police department, just helping the local community, being a local like West Michigan business. It's a really good way to partner with you guys, learn more about the community and just spread a little joy this Christmas season.
Morning. We are teaming up with Quality Car Wash. Would love to gift you with $20 in free gas this morning. Can I do that? Good deal, right? That's okay. It's a lot more than $20 in gas. It's about that positive relationship that we continue to strive for 365 days a year. So this is just one snapshot, one small glimpse of how we can pay it back to the community and also highlight the wonderful things that Quality is doing for the community as well.
I am so broke and I was like, I really need gas this morning. I'm actually 6 miles to empty. And I was like, oh, it's like $10 in. So 20 is even better.
It's really fun for our officers to have this positive interaction because it helps us to just reinforce the confidence that we have in our community and what a wonderful community it is. Good morning.
Gas at the top. That's so.
Yeah.
So
And there's free coffee. We have a jet pack of coffee that's going around the gas pump offering people free coffee. Okay, we're going to the Jeep. Is that 4? We're going to pump 4. You bet. We got the full 20 in there, so hopefully that filled you up. Have an awesome day. Merry Christmas.
And this is this Sleep with Heavenly Peace. That's an organization that provides beds to needy families.
I think we probably take it for granted, the average person being able to come home and go to a nice, comfortable, warm bed that you get all to yourself. And there's a lot of people in our community who are sleeping on the floor or an air mattress, a couch, or siblings who have to share a bed. To give a kid the chance to have their own space and a comfortable space. I mean, that changes their whole world if they can wake up in their own bed.
Are you guys excited to have the new beds? Yeah.
We're so excited to work with Sleep in Heavenly Peace again. We worked with them last year during the holiday season. It was such a blessing. We couldn't wait to work with them again this year. Officer Anna Heinzelman, she started volunteering with them and working with this nonprofit on her off time. And she brought that to us as a way that we could reach out to our community through one of our local nonprofits, of which we have many, but this one really struck us. So right now we're delivering to a family, 3 beds, one bunk bed and 1 single bed. And we're just really happy to get started.
We were able to go out today and put together 12 beds for 6 different families. When you get to do that grand reveal and show the kids their new bed, just to see the kids kind of cherish something that's their own now is really awesome.
The blanket.
I got a blanket.
It's so special for me to be able to impact these families at such an intimate level, to be able to provide beds for these kids ages 2 to 17 years old. It's heartbreaking to think of that age group that doesn't have them. And it's so wonderful to be able to meet that need and be able to meet them where they're at and get to know them. And, you know, as a police agency, you can imagine that doesn't always happen. This is only the 2nd time working with them, and it's really special. I'm really looking forward to a continued relationship with them and to be able to bless families in this way in the future.
And this is the Shop with a Cop program that you might have heard about. Different agencies do this. It's over the holiday season also, leading into Christmas.
I'm Inaki. We are so happy to be back at Meyer this year to do the Shop with a Cop, and we're teamed up with Quality Car Wash here in Holland.
We love to go shopping.
Was asked by Sergeant Weatherwax at the Holland Police Department if we wanted to be involved in Shop with a Cop.
Traditional funding fell through this year, but Quality heard that and they decided to fund our entire program. So we are here with 6 different families that were all chosen by the Holland Public School staff. And so we're really happy to be here to shop and bless their Christmas.
This one is my favorite one.
I think as a community policing team, our focus this time of year is to reach outside of ourselves and to think about others in need. And it's amazing, again, to team up with the organizations of the greater Holland area that can really fill that need for people.
This one, though, yeah, no.
Quality Car Wash has been extremely blessed by the West Michigan community. So kind of a no-brainer, in all honesty. It's for us to be able to give back to the community itself, the community members. So if we can help someone have a better Christmas, it's a blessing for us.
Do you have an idea of like color or style? I know, aren't they awesome?
Okay. Entonces, algo como este no tan alto. It's really impactful to see these families not only buy toys for their kids and maybe some necessities, blankets, clothes, whatever, but when they turn and they go to the grocery section because they need groceries, it's amazing to be able to provide that for them in this way. Hey, ¿comiste hoy?
Sí.
¿Qué comiste?
En la cafetería.
¿Sí? ¿Y desayunaste bien?
Sí.
Qué bueno. You know, as I talk, I kind of get a little choked up a little bit because I remember when my boys who, they're 19, 22, and 24 now, but back when they were young and kind of growing up in the Holland community, I remember things were tough at times, and to be able to fill that need and bridge that gap for people is amazing.
Hopefully you're seeing with all those examples that it takes partnerships. It takes organizations that we work with, as it doesn't just take us. It takes donations of very generous people, very generous companies. That's how we're able to make this happen. And it takes ideas. It takes our community policing officers and sergeant to come up with new ideas of how to do this in positive ways and make positive connections with people in the community. Here's a few other ways that our community policing division reaches out to the community. We talked about the Citizens Police Academy. We talked about the Junior Police Academy. You can see the details for each of those right there. They're free to anybody that's in and around our community. We do the Citizens Police Academy once each year, and it's in the falls on Mondays, 6 to 9 p.m. on Mondays. And then the Junior Police Academy is done during the summer. It's for 12 and 13-year-olds, local middle school students. And then we have our Victim Services Unit. That's a volunteer unit that responds to critical incidents, death scenes, homicides, fatal crashes, fires, to help basically recover from those situations and help them through the process, whether it's their grief or a traumatic situation. It's to help families and individuals work through difficult traumatic situations. It's a way for us to get people that are trained specifically to spend more time with people in difficult situations than sometimes an officer is able to spend. So this is one of the key things. We have had signs around our department for many years that excellence matters. We believe that we have to continually strive for excellence in our department. And there's many different areas of our department we can do that in. It can be in training. We believe very strongly we have to be excellent in training. It can be in integrity. We have to have excellence and integrity in our character. It could be in our interactions with people. It could be in our professionalism. And you can see right here our mission statement, which we recently redid when we went through a strategic planning. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. This is our current mission statement. And what this is going to lead into is a little bit of history as to where we came from and where we've been moving as an organization. So this slide represents something that Chief Kreidoff over 20 years ago brought a training to our department with this concept. And if you look at the details of it, the idea is the pillars of character and competence holds all those other things, right? And the pillars are extremely important for those other things to exist. If one side collapses, one of those pillars collapses, the rest doesn't stay held up. Character and competence. He brought over 20 years ago to our department the importance of these two areas, and then looked at how can we focus on these two areas and become better and continually strive to improve and continually strive for excellence. So at the time, we had a focus on training, and we said, how can we do training better? Because that's the side of competence. And we looked at character and we said, how can we make sure that we have the right character in our department? Well, one of the things with character that we really focused on is it's about hiring the right people. Because I can't teach somebody character very well. That's a quality. That's a quality you come in the door with. So we believe very strongly that we have to put a very strong emphasis on finding the right people, hiring the right people, and then having the right culture to continue to improve. We can all improve, but we have to have a base level of qualities of character in us to come into this profession. The competence we can train, the character has to exist when they come in the door. So looking at training, excellence in training, it's the key to competence. And you can see we have a training sergeant, we have a training officer, we have a high number of hours for every officer per year. We have internal certified trainers, instructors. We do reality-based training. We have the virtual training simulator. We have a commitment to internal training, but also external training. We not only train within our department, we also send officers to outside trainings. We have a field training unit that spends 20 weeks with every new officer, 20 weeks before they're allowed to be in a car by themselves. We believe very strongly that that is a key to not only hiring the right people, but training them right off the bat in the right ways into good decision-making, into good professionalism and integrity, and just kind of fostering those characters that they came in with. And then West Michigan Training Consortium, we've been a member of for many years, since 1993, has around 98 agencies around West Michigan. It's a West Michigan Criminal Justice Training Consortium. Many people have never heard of that. Our department has taken a key role in leading that organization, and many of the area departments around West Michigan are part of it, but that provides outside trains that we can send officers to. And as a group of 98 agencies, we can do a much better job of bringing in high quality training and training a high number of officers than we can as just one individual agency. So whether that's driving training or legal updates or ethics, leadership training, field training officers, certifying the field training officers, all those things, that's provided by our Criminal Justice Training Consortium that all the West Michigan agencies that are part of can attend. And it's been a great program, a great organization that we've been a part of. Quality training and investing in the right people is the best way to get the great results. And what are those results? Quality decision-making is key to our profession, and professionalism is key to our profession. We have to make sure that we continue to have emphasis on quality decision-making, which means we have to put the resources and time into training our people well. So that's the training side. And now we have the other side, the character side, the qualities. This core values wheel has been a part of our department. This was brought on by Chief Messer, the one that came after Chief Krydoff. This is kind of the next level of focusing on character that he brought to our department. We had a group that got together and came up with this wheel. We've had it for many years, and it's hung around our department. It's talked about at every new officer swearing in, and it's talked about with our officers. It's talked about whenever we're struggling with disciplinary issues, that we all have to have these core values to be people of character. And then we have I think it's about a 5-page booklet that kind of goes through and dives into each one of these core values and what do each of these values mean? What are examples of each of these values? We believe very strongly that you have to come in with a certain level of character and integrity into our department. But this is a way that we encourage ongoing, regular talk and emphasis on core values and character. And we always say, this isn't just at work. This is at home in our personal life. This is when our friends, this is when our spouses, this is with our kids, and this is in our professional life. These core values have to be present in all aspects of our life if we're going to do this character thing and integrity thing right. So that's the side of character. So you have those two pillars of character and competence. So what has changed in public safety over the last 10 years? I was asked this question. Now, those two pictures might have a little bit more of a gap than 10 years. We got about 1907 to 2025, but hey. So what has changed in public safety over the last 10 years? I'm going to start with 30 years because, I've been here for 32 years. So I'm going to start with that. The types of things that I think of with what has changed over the last 30 years is when I first started, there was family problems, there was juvenile problems, but they were at a different level of today. We had a community services unit with our department when I started. That community services unit was a civilian person that kind of focused on social work and following up with families. And we had a civilian staff person that was kind of the administrative person. And then we added a detective. But it was really focusing on minor issues, troublesome kids, family disputes that were considered civil at the time. That's turned into a significant number of domestic assaults, a significant number of criminal sexual conduct complaints with kids, a significant number of significant crimes committed by juveniles that aren't just petty crimes, that aren't just neighborhood crimes, that aren't just damaged property, that's moved to the level of breaking and entering and robberies and homicides. So not that those things didn't exist before, but the number of times that we're dealing with it with families and juveniles is extremely higher than when I first started. When I first started, disorderly bar fights were not unheard of. That was fairly common. That kind of turned into gang fights. We started seeing a lot more of that in the mid-90s and beyond. Alcohol and marijuana kind of turned into hardcore drugs, methamphetamines, synthetic drugs, prescription drug abuse. We see a lot of that now, and we rarely saw that kind of thing, if ever, when I first started. So that's kind of over the last 30 years, but in the last 10 years, what has changed? One of the big things is trust and respect. Now, some of that's on us as police officers. We have part of that fault. We have to not only build trust, but we have to maintain trust. And I don't think we always did the best job of that. I don't think we did the best job of putting enough emphasis on building and maintaining trust with the community and making sure that all of our interactions were in, everything we could do to make them positive interactions and everything we could do to provide a good service to the community. So that's one of the things that we've seen change. There's a very common lack of respect for what police officers do in the community. Some of that's on us. I don't think TV shows have really helped it because what was portrayed in TV shows 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it was a side of law enforcement that I don't think it was a good representation of what law enforcement really is and what we stood for. And we paid the price for that for years. And we're still paying the price for that. So the trust from the community and the respect of people towards law enforcement has totally changed. And that's something that we have to continually work on. You see a lot of media reports, you see a lot of social media stuff out there that's making accusations and making assumptions about the way police officers do things. A lot of it, in my opinion, is a misunderstanding of what's going on. They don't understand the legal system. They don't understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. Some of that's on us because we don't explain it well. Some of that's on us because we hide behind the fact that we can't share information, which is sometimes true. But there's other times that we should be sharing things that we haven't. So we have to do a better job of that, communicating with the community as to why we're doing the things that we're doing and what else is involved. The problem is a lot of times when the media comes to talk to us, they're asking us questions and trying to get us to share things that we aren't allowed to share. So then what do? They go to somebody else to ask the questions and they got a different version of it, So sometimes we're kind of stuck in that area, but it's something that we definitely seen change over the years. Options for law enforcement, cite versus arrest, citation versus arrest. That has very much changed in the last 5, 6, 8 years. So we used to be able to take people to jail and arrest people for a lot of crimes that we no longer can unless there's certain criteria that has to be met. A lot of times we have to issue them a ticket. Instead of arresting somebody for retail fraud, we issue them a ticket. Instead of arresting somebody for trespassing, we issue them a ticket. Instead of arresting somebody for disorderly, we issue them a ticket. And that ticket says that they have to show up in court and they have to basically answer to a judge and might be, they might get fined, they might get some jail time, but we can't arrest our way out of to resolve situations near as often anymore as we used to be able to. That was a law change in Michigan several years ago that said we can no longer arrest for some minor crimes. We have to write tickets for them. So not always a bad thing. But the problem is when you as a citizen is calling about a problem and you want it resolved, and all we do is issue a ticket and that's all we can do, we walk away, you don't feel like that's been resolved. You don't feel like we took care of the situation. That's a lot of times what we run into is people aren't happy with that resolution, just issuing a ticket and walking away, and the person goes down the street and does it all over again. Honestly, that happens pretty regularly. So there's some positive things to that, but it's a struggle for us. A lot of our officers can be very frustrated with that. Options for investigations, that's changed quite a bit. A very different technology that's continuing to evolve. We use video, surveillance video. We use ring cameras from people's houses. We use photographs. We use body camera evidence. So there's a lot of the photography and the video stuff that we can use for proving cases now, which is a great tool. Technology in many different ways, digital evidence. We do a ton of digital evidence now, which is great. But it's very different. We have a public defender's office now that we didn't used to have. They used to always have defense attorneys, but the public defender's office now is specifically assigned to defend people, right? It's a good thing. That's part of our criminal justice entity. But the problem with that is we have more public defenders than we do prosecuting attorneys. So when you put more emphasis on the public defense to basically defend criminals, and you don't have enough prosecuting attorneys to prosecute the criminals, they can wreak havoc on our efforts to enforce crimes and charge people. So that's a difficult balance that we're struggling with right now. Training, we talked about that. That's changed a lot over the years, and it continues to train. Our goal is to continue to evolve and create more and more realistic scenarios and drills so that we can be better decision makers, that we can be safer, and we can create a safer community with that. A realization for us to care better for each other, for our officers. That's a big one. When I first started, even 10 years ago, we didn't do a good job of caring for our officers. Our officers are dealing with critical incidents and situations that really, we wish they didn't have to see, we wish they didn't have to deal with. They're taking home with them. They're taking, it's in their mind. They're waking up at night from it. We have learned that we have to do a better job of caring for our officers and focusing on officer wellness, because that's a really key, important part of officers being able to stay in this career longer, right? To be able to do this long term. Focus on people. We have to focus on people internally and externally. We have to focus on our own people. We have to focus on the people in the community and see them as people, not as, the other side, not as, a we versus they. We believe very strongly that that's changed over the years, that we've seen that we have to focus on that more. And we have to continue to see that we have to focus on people internally and externally and make sure that we respect people for who they are. Doesn't matter if they're different than us, whether I work with them or I'm dealing with them on my patrols as a road patrol officer. We have to respect people and see them as different from us, but somebody that we need to respect. So just to cover a few more things on focusing on excellence and improvements. What has happened and what do we need to continue to do? Significant emphasis on training. Moving from patrol officers to community policing officers in the mid-90s, to team policing, where we work closely between patrol and the community policing division. We have to continue to work together. Fair and impartial policing training was a program that came out quite a few years ago. Great training to talk about how we interact with people and respect people and treat people no matter their differences, whether that's a different race, a different sex, a different religion, different beliefs. We have to be respectful of people. We have to realize our own biases that we have and make sure that we're working against that and working around those biases. Improving partnerships and building on trust. We talked about the partnerships that are really important for us. Focusing on teamwork between shifts and division. We have a very strong emphasis, and we're trying to work harder at teamwork between shifts, divisions, even in between the police department and the fire department. We do extensive background investigations on officers before they come into our department. We want to make sure we know who the people are before we hire them. So we spend a lot of time on background investigations to make sure we know who we're getting. Brain health and wellness programs. We were part of a program that was called Robertson Brain Health for about 5 years, focused on what are our habits, whether that's eating habits, sleeping habits, work habits, fitness habits that are either good for us or not so good for us. And how can we make some adjustments in our own lives that help for our brain health? That was a really good program for our officers, and it did one-on-one sessions and it did group sessions. Now we've gone to a different program through Pine Rest, where we're focusing on mental health and wellness, which is we're really looking forward to that. This year is the first year for that. We're focusing on a fitness program with a training gym in the area, which is great. Once again, great partnership. And then investing in equipment and technology. The cost of the technology that's coming out right now is insane, but it's also important for us to stay on top of things and to be good at what we do. So there's that balance. It's very expensive, but we want to make sure that we're utilizing the best equipment we can and putting the best effort forward that we can. So one of the things that we did several years ago, strategic planning, we started, there was a 3 to 5 year strategic focus, and you can see that we had 10 goals, we had 36 action plans, and we focused on recruitment and retention, allocation of resources. How are we allocating our resources now, and what can we do to change things to make it better? Enhance teamwork between divisions and shifts and police and fire. Leadership training. We went from training our supervisors after they were promoted to be supervisors to now we're training at the officer level, and especially those that are up and comers towards leadership. So we're training at an earlier point in their careers. And then we have a mentorship program that has been phenomenal. We pair up a more senior person with a more junior person. Every officer that comes into our department gets assigned a mentor. Everybody that's existing in our department, it's a volunteer basis. You can have a mentor. You can have somebody that you meet with regularly that can talk about your goals, whether that's career goals, whether that's struggles in your family, struggles in your career, whatever. You can talk about things, talk things through. You can get advice from people that have been around longer. Been a very good program, one-on-one, but also we've been doing quarterly meetings where we bring somebody in for the community that talks on certain topics that are really good for mentorship and leadership. Quarterly, they come in and talk. We've also had this program that we started was a leadership lounge. So we do podcasts on leadership from different people around the community that are involved in the corporate world, that are in leadership positions, that are kind of giving advice over a podcast. So that's been a really good program that we started a few years ago as part of our strategic planning process to try to look at the next 3 to 5 years and say, how can we continue to become better at what we're doing? Accreditation. We got accredited for the first time in 2022. We got reaccredited this year. This is an important way for us to say, are we doing best practices in the state of Michigan? Are we keeping up with what the best practices are? And then making sure that we're proving that we not only have policies that say we're doing it, but we're actually doing it. So it's the first step was to create policies that say this is how we do things and it's best practices. But the second step was every year we have to show proofs that we're doing what our policy says we're doing. It's really important to help keep us on track. And once again, to show and hopefully build trust within the community that we are doing what we say we're doing. So current climate and concerns. What do we have in our current climate and what are our concerns as a law enforcement agencies? Victims versus suspects is a key topic to me. And it's something that we want to make sure that everybody thinks through this focus. A lot of time in the media, and if you hear people get worked up about things, it's about protecting the suspect's rights. It's all about suspects, and making sure that we're treating them well. 100% agree. We have to treat them well. We got to respect everybody. But how much do you hear about talking about victims? How much do we hear about the victims? Every crime, there's a victim. And if we get so focused on talking about the suspect, we have to remind ourselves there's a victim in this crime. If you have a criminal sexual conduct, if you have a homicide, we can talk about suspect rights and we can talk about making sure that they get the best trial and a fair trial. And we have to have, public defender's office to try to retry the case and make sure the evidence was good and all that, all good stuff. But let's not forget, there's a victim and there's a victim family in every one of these cases. And we don't hear enough talk, and we don't see enough focus put on the victims. And one of our keys is we have to respect all people. It's an absolute, but what are we in the business of doing as law enforcement officers? As an agency, we're in the business of supporting victims, providing safety. It's why we're in this business. Doesn't mean it doesn't take away from respecting everybody, but we have to keep victim as a focus in our line of work. Reducing enforcement options affects the victims in the community. So when you talk about not being able to arrest people anymore, now we're writing citations instead of arresting people, there's arguments for both ways, but we got to remember, as soon as you take away the ability for us to make an arrest or reduce our enforcement, or we can't charge people for certain things, that affects the victims and it affects the community. So there's another side to that we have to remember. And then what are the concerns that we have is the way we're portrayed in the media, the way we're portrayed on social media, the public assumptions that are made when, you see body camera footage or somebody's cell phone footage that's out there and people jump to conclusions right away when they don't have all the facts. Things can look really bad on video, I'm telling you. When you don't have all the facts, they can look really bad. All of a sudden you see a different view from a different camera. All of a sudden you hear like, oh, what happened before that video? Totally changes the story. So there's a lot of assumptions that can make us look bad. And honestly, we have some bad examples out there. Every profession has them. I'm not going to deny it. There's bad cases out there of bad police officers. Just honestly, every profession has them, and we have it too. Am I proud of that? Absolutely not. But that's something that we have to live with, and we have to make sure that we do everything that we can to stand out in this community and in the law enforcement community to say, we're not like that. We're different. We're going to stand up against that. We're going to stand up against improper uses of force and improper use of authority. Because we don't live by that. We don't agree with it. And that's not us. Don't stereotype us into something that happened across the country, because that's not who we are. That's our ask of our community. And then what role can you play in this? Remember the victims. Please remember the victims. Get involved. Citizen Police Academy, Victim Services Unit, it's a volunteer program. We'd love to have more people. There's a program called Volunteers in Policing. Go to our website and check it out. There's something that you can be involved in there. Support partner organizations and nonprofits. Here's some of the organizations that we live with. It's not all of them, but it's some of them. These are the common ones that we work with all the time. It's really important that these organizations exist and continue to thrive, because we can't do what we do without them. It's really important. And then remember, police officers are people with the same goals as you. Reduce crime, solve crime, provide safety, respect for all people. We have those same goals. I think everybody in this room has those goals. That's who we are too. So, back to our core values. Back to what are we focused on? We're focused on a community policing philosophy. We're focused on creating and sustaining a good culture. We believe in our department we have a good culture, and we are going to stand by keeping that culture. We're going to do everything we can to keep a good culture. Because once we have that good culture, as long as we keep putting emphasis on it and work into it, we believe the new people coming in can easily just blend right into our culture and help keep that culture good. Core values have to be emphasized. Hiring the right people is extremely important. We have a cadet program and a reserve program. Cadets are those that are in college that are looking to get into law enforcement. We believe very strongly that's important for us to find the right people. Our reserves, we couldn't do what we do without them. Our downtown events, our parades and our runs, a lot of times those are reserves working those. It's really important for us to have a reserve officer program to help support, because we can't do it with our full-time officers. There's a lot of events downtown that you wouldn't see the officer presence there if we didn't have a reserve program. So that's really important to us. And then making sure that we maintain and stay with a high level of training, extremely important to us. So that's the slide I'm going to leave you with, and I'll take any questions.
Just a minute.
So I have to say that I have a decided bias. I've been a law enforcement chaplain for 35 years, 32 with a local agency in Ohio and 13 with a federal agency. I so appreciate everything HPD is doing. Just terrific. My question is, and I was so grateful that you mentioned one of the concerns is taking care of each other. So I'm going to ask, does Holland Division of Public Safety have a chaplain program?
We do not have a chaplain program. We believe right now that our mentorship program is doing an excellent job. And part of that mentorship program is we have 3 people that are on mentorship board that regularly talk to us, ride with our officers, and have difficult conversations and one-on-one conversations. Those 3 people are, one is a CEO, one is a pastor of a larger church in the area, and the other one is the head of the Gateway Mission. Those 3 people are really important to us, and they have full access to ride with our officers, to meet with our officers, to mentor whoever they want to mentor. People can go to them. And the fact that we have a pastor that's part of that is really important to us. So we don't have a chaplainship program, but yet we believe this mentorship board is a great way to give options to people to connect and to get the help that they need and follow up. Thank you.
First of all, your presentation is outstanding, so let's give a gold star for that.
Thank you.
Because I think it really is. Help me out, because my name's Rick Byrne. I get confused on things. I know I live legally in the city of Holland. I'm looking out my bedroom window at Allegan County, which is not in the city of Holland. So I understand that. So there's obviously the Allegan County Sheriff's Office. I'm assuming since I'm a city resident paying city taxes, you're serving me.
Yes.
Even though, and then, oops, I got a problem. I don't know, I saw something. I wanted to dial 911 and I want to talk about something 3 blocks down the street from me, but I talked to Ottawa County 911 and they're often confused because I keep saying, I'm in Allegan County, city of Holland. That's a very confusing thing to say. I hope that doesn't insult you, but that bothers them. What am I talking about in this question? I mean, can you help differentiate I don't want to say my lifestyle, but obviously, and as a city resident, I assume city police, I assume city fire, but then yet I go for a walk and I end up over at the Groscup Fire Department, which is not in the city, but I think they do serve at times.
Yeah.
What am I, is there?
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question. So the city of Holland is unique in that we have kind of I don't know if you remember the map that I put up, it's kind of jagged borders, which is very common. But it's divided by 32nd Street. South of 32nd is Allegan County, north of 32nd is Ottawa County. Most jurisdictions are in one county. We get the pleasure of being split by 2 counties. Overall, that doesn't affect people too much. However, we have a couple of partnerships that are in place that are really important to us. Number one, the dispatching. So anybody in the city of Holland calls 911, they get Ottawa County Dispatch, because Ottawa County dispatches all city of Holland police. No matter what side of 32nd you're on, doesn't matter what county you're in. If you're in the city of Holland, you're dispatched by Ottawa County Central Dispatch. Unless your cell phone is hitting an Allegan County tower and it goes to Allegan, but we won't get into that. So Ottawa County Dispatch is our dispatch center. Also, when we have crimes and it goes to court, initial level goes to Ottawa County Prosecutor and Ottawa County Courts. If it's a felony level and it's across on the south side of 32nd Street, it has to get pushed to the Allegan County Courts and Allegan County Prosecutor, but that's after the prelim. So it's after the initial court hearing. So we have a partnership with the prosecutor's office and the courts to make that happen. We have a partnership with our dispatch authorities to make that happen, that we keep everything within Ottawa County as long as we can. And it gets pushed to Allegan later sometimes. But when you're right, when you call and you're right on that border, and you're looking out your window at Allegan County, but the street you live on is in Holland City, that's going to be a problem if you're looking out your window the wrong way. Because as soon as you call the Ottawa County Dispatch, they have the ability to transfer you to Allegan County Dispatch very easily, but they first are going to ask a lot of questions to try to figure out where exactly are you talking, and is it within the city or not within the city. So what county, it doesn't matter if you're within the city, but as soon as you're looking outside of the city, then it matters to them, because then it would be the sheriff's department response to that call. Did I answer any questions or? Yep, same thing. So Holland City Fire Department responds to everything within the city and is dispatched by Ottawa County Central Dispatch. But Holland's, so outside of Holland City, then fire response is covered by township fire departments. So there's no county fire response, it's township fire departments. So south of the city, you'll see Grascup Fire Department respond to some. You'll see Fillmore Township. So townships have fire response. Holland Township, Park Township, Blendon Township. Those are all township fire departments scattered throughout the county. But within the city, it's one fire department that responds to everything within the city. And that's also for like accidents. So police and fire both respond to accidents within the city. Does that make sense? And I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense. Did I clarify that?
We have a question online. It says, you're clear about respecting everyone and clearly sincere about this. Is the current behavior of ICE feel like a professional and personal betrayal?
That's it's something that can be difficult to get into in a very short amount of time. We work with partner organizations all the time, whether that's other police departments, sheriff's departments, or federal law enforcement agencies. We work very closely with them all the time. We do not enforce laws for ICE. We don't do things in place of them. What they do, we don't have control over. They have decisions to make as far as what they enforce and how they enforce it. We will do it in a supporting role. And by saying that, I mean, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that goes smoothly. If we're working with ICE, it's only to make sure things go as smooth as possible. We're not doing their work for them. We're not enforcing laws for them. We don't interact with ICE in that way. Just like with the sheriff's department, if we go on a call and we assist the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department in their jurisdiction, we're going to work closely with them. And if they come into the city and assist us, they're going to closely work with us, but we're still making the decisions. We're still making the calls and deciding who to arrest and stuff like that. So another law enforcement agency doesn't come in and take over that. We don't make any decisions for ICE. They make their own decisions. And we're going to only try to help them make things go as smoothly as possible, but we're not going to get into enforcement with that type of thing. That is a federal thing. That is their department and that's their decisions. We don't have any control over. I hope I'm explaining that in a way because I know that's a very hot topic and there's a lot of stuff out there in the media and social media that some of it's true, some of it's not true, honestly. And we have no control over what's going on there at times.
Yeah, has there been a trajectory to the volume of crime in our area in the past like 10 years? Is it going up or down?
It's actually been going down. Yeah. Now, when I say that, we had, I know over the last 10 years, it's gone down. The last couple of years gone up a little bit, but it's never gone back up over what it was 5 years ago. So we've seen a good trajectory overall. Just in the last few years, we've seen the numbers go up a little bit too. So.
The homeless population, is this growing in the city or lowering with time?
Yeah, and a lot of the communities are dealing with that growing problem. And so the homeless population, we see a lot of people from outside the area. There's some people from inside the area. And we don't have the answers as to the why necessarily, but we see a lot more of the homeless population now than we did 5 years ago. Absolutely. We're dealing with it all the time. And that's why I say our crisis intervention team has been instrumental in trying to work with that population, work with business owners and private owners that are struggling with people that might be staying on their property, but also trying to help the homeless people get resources that they need and try to point them in the right directions. So it's been a definite huge increase over the last 5 years.
What's been the experience with porch thefts in the last couple of years, and is it differing by patrol areas?
I would say that the porch thefts probably kind of go along with the higher crime areas. So when you saw those areas that I said we have community policing officers in those areas because they're higher density and higher crimes. Similar with those types of thefts. They definitely have increased, but that's because there's a lot more packages being delivered too than there was 5 years ago. So there's a lot more opportunity for that crime than there used to be. So there's definitely an increase there. and I can't say that any neighborhood is exempt from that. It could happen anywhere, but when you see those more dense areas where the houses are closer together and they're closer to the sidewalk, definitely easier opportunity for people to grab packages for sure.
Are there any other questions? Okay, let's give it a round of applause.
Thank you.